All right. Hey, hello, and welcome to BroPartisan Hacks. I actually have no idea what episode number this is because we missed last week because our video malfunctioned.
So it will be 13 then. Yeah. We're just
So we'll just call
pretend
this
like that one
13.
didn't happen.
Yeah, very well then. So this is number 13. Apologies for missing last week. We're just gonna move forward now. So, hi everyone. How is everyone doing? How are you?
I've been super busy. So yeah, I think that's one of the things that's coming up soon is you've got practice and I've got a big turnaround, and so it's going to be a little touch and go for the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, we start spring football next week. So, it's kind of funny. I've been talking to a few people about it, and it's really like kind of a weird phenomena as far as like how that works. So small schools don't get spring football. That's a strictly like NCAA, college, and then 5A, 6A schools here in Jesus Christ, here in Texas. So it's kind of a weird deal. Dang.
So it's like new to you, I guess. Well, you've been doing it for years now, so.
No, I've been doing it for a while. So, but when you explain that thing to people, they're like, "What? Football in the spring, and then you just play against each other?" Yeah, that's what we do.
That's what you do.
But it's especially because with a new coach, you come in and then you basically we're learning a whole new offense, whole new defense, and so it's a good time. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, nice.
I'm excited about it.
You get to run those kids till they puke. That's the best part. First day of 2-a-days, man. That was always the wake up that nobody worked out during the summer like they should have.
Man, it's so funny because now we have workout programs that go all summer long. Like they get like a week off on 4th of July weekend, and then that's it.
And you're back to it.
That's and then we're right back in it. So they really don't get like a whole lot of break, so to speak. We're pretty, like, I kind of wish that I had that back in the day.
Kept us busy
during the summer.
Kept us out of trouble during those summers.
Wow. Like it's like 3 hours long in the morning, starting at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, but at least you gotta
11.
You gotta get up and go, right? And that precipitates the need to go to bed and not stay out all night, right? So.
Yeah, that is true. Man, my computer is running slow. I hope everything is kind of caught up where you are.
It seems to be going through okay. I don't have any obvious lag or anything, so the recording seems to be going good.
Good. All right. Well,
where to start?
What? My computer, like I said, is moving very slow, so it's not wanting to do what I want it to do. Very well then. I didn't do anything. That's the crazy thing, is it's just not doing. Holy mackerel. Well, you want to jump into why the police suck? it. Who's the most trusted name in news? Oh, CNN. That's what they say. That's it's pretty awful, but true. It's just it's nonstop. I, man, it's So what does it say there? Shooting appears to be a domestic situation that is. I can't read that word. Wow. Does that count as a mass shooting because it was 3 people? Yeah. I mean, yeah. So I watched. I didn't watch any of the actual videos because it's kind of morbid and fucked up, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it. So I actually didn't watch the Adam Toledo video, and nor did I watch the Dante Wright video. Um, Mostly because I just couldn't. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I was just a bit much. Um, yeah, yeah. Basically, she. Go ahead.
Um, Apparently, I've been talking and not actually recording my voice this whole time. So
All right,
that's
starting
awesome. Yeah, starting now. Another thing. Well, whatever. Disney will copyright us. Can you hear the TV?
A little bit. It's not. It's actually not too bad.
All right. Turn it down. I think it's okay. Okay. So anyway, she's walking up by the tailgate, and there's an officer there, and the guy goes to jump into his car, and he kicks the guy off of him. He's reaching in. It looks like he's trying to get into the car all the way, and she yells, "Taser, taser, taser," and then blam. And she's holding and it's not like taser, taser, taser. It's like taser, and then there's a long pause, and she yells taser again, and there's a long pause, and she yells taser the third time, and then she fires. Right, and And in the camera, you can see the gun, right? She's waving it around, pointing it at him. And you know, it reminded me of, my wife and I had watched a show like the night before, where in the show the guy, it's a cop show, and the good guy talks down the bank robber, and the bank robber's like putting his gun down, and then the bank security guard like pulls out his gun and shoots him. And I'm watching this scene on the fictional television show, and I get really irritated at it. And I'm just like, he's putting the gun down, and the guy draws his gun and shoots him. And like the same essence of that feeling of just like, oh God, why? Like, no, this isn't right. Like, was the same
exactly
feeling
what happened with Adam Toledo.
I got with the Dante Wright thing.
But that's almost the exact same thing that happened with the Adam Toledo shooting. So the Adam Toledo shooting in Chicago, they just released. So he was like 2 months ago, 3 months ago. But they just released the body camera shooting.
Mm.
Drop the gun, or drop it. He drops it, raises his hands up, and they shoot.
It's a little bit more complicated than that, but I understand.
But what you just described.
I just had this here, right? This is what I showed you.
Yeah.
This is what I sent to you, right? And when I search for Google for this, these two videos pop up side by side. One, hey, here's the firearm he's holding, and in less than 1 second, he turns around and looks like this. And so you've got, here it is. They saw the firearm on him. He turns around pretty quick. It's less than 1 second from this shot to this shot, and this is where he's shot.
You want to know what gets on my nerves? Is that less than 1 second horseshit. Because I get really sick of, you don't know what you would do in that situation, and you don't know the pressure that these people are under, and they have less than a split second to make a decision. Okay. When the pressure's on, when you have a split second to make a decision, when it's nerve-wracking, when things, there's lots of noise, there's lots of things going on, people fall back onto their training.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because that's what I do for a living. Right? The pressure's on. We have to win. You have to execute. You've got to do all the things that we've been teaching you to do. Right? So what is their training? Murder. Murder is their training, because that's what they fall back on. The pressure's on. They're going to fucking kill. And that's the problem.
I don't disagree with that.
And then on top of that, cops are trained to mag dump. He fired one shot.
Mag dump center mass.
If he thought his actual life was in actual fucking danger, he would have mag dumped, because that's what they're trained to do. He knew that he fucked up. He knew in the moment. He knew that he shouldn't have shot, that his hands were empty, but he'd already done it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he actually thought that he was in danger, he would have blah, 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 blah. That's why all these cops, the dude in, I forget where, but he got, Kenosha, got 7 in the back. Yeah. Because that's what they're taught. The dude apparently really thought that he was in danger. Mag dump. That's the training.
The kid? Who are you talking about?
Well, the one where they got 7 in the back was the guy in Kenosha that was walking away.
Oh, the one running away that turned around and pointed the taser back at the guy?
No, he didn't turn around and point anything back. He got 7 in the back.
Yeah, no,
in the back.
He did. You should pull that up and watch that one too. He did.
7 shots in the back.
Yeah. I remember that one. Yeah. That happened. Yeah. The this one kills me because it's like if he had turned the other way with his hand open, would he have still gotten shot? Like, I don't know. I agree with you. Like, the problem is the police training and the way that the system is set up nowadays. It's easier for like police officers to shoot suspects, right?
Yeah.
It's more difficult, like when they have to fight, and it's like it's less paperwork. Here's a crazy thing for you. All right, consider this: it's less paperwork for a police officer to shoot and kill a suspect than it is for them to break their arm to subdue them.
Wow.
It's less paperwork. Straight up. That in and of itself should tell you something.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of my point, is like the violence inherent in the system is just the way that it works. Like that thing I sent you today, you probably can't pull it up right now, but the number 4 or the number 3, where U.S. police ranks among worldwide military expenditures, the United States police force is 3rd.
Give me 10 seconds. I'll pull it up.
So it's United States military, China, United States police.
No, I don't want that. Hold on a sec. I've got it. I just gotta open it correctly. This one here?
Yeah, that one. I think that's really indicative of the state of the police department, the policing in the United States. And that specifically is where the defund the police rhetoric comes from. Mm-hmm. That. It's Jacob Blake, that's the Kenosha guy.
Oh, so. Yeah.
Did you get a chance to watch? So the only video that I actually watched all the way through the interaction was the one guy in Virginia, the military guy. Did you see that one?
I didn't watch that one
at all,
actually. Yeah.
Nazario.
I've not had a chance to watch that one at all.
This guy, this Karan Nazario, he did everything exactly right. Like, he did everything he could to not die that night. Mm-hmm. It's pretty crazy. Like dude was ready for violence. The police officer was ready for murder. Mm-hmm. And that guy, played everything perfectly to not die. Pull it up if you can. It's worth watching.
Yeah, I've got it on the other screen. Hold on. I'm trying to figure out. I've also got it muted here. I don't want to listen right this second.
that?
That's apparently the guy's arm tat.
I guess this is him getting a ticket for his
Yeah,
tag.
he's got a Celtic knot on his tat.
What's he getting a ticket for here?
I wasn't in a rush. I wasn't intentionally trying to speed. But these couple minutes of being here now it makes me feel like I have to speed because I have to be somewhere by a particular time. So right. I understand what you're saying, but I really would have appreciated that.
If the speed would have been lower, been a different, story. If you'd been at 51, I might have let you keep on going, with a warning.
Good day. Be safe out here.
Drive safer, man.
Oh, that wasn't the one that he apparently got pepper sprayed at. This one, he's just being like super respectful. And
yeah,
nothing happens with the cop.
He was pretty respectful the first time too.
I think this one. This one.
The one where he could have been murdered.
His hands out the window of his new car.
I have it in the
while
weekly.
Two Windsor, Virginia police officers, guns drawn, order him to get out.
Oh, this one.
This is the one. Yeah.
Get out of the car now. Get out of the car.
Get your hands off me, please. Get your hands off me.
You know what?
Fucking crazy.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, I haven't watched.
So basically, here's what happens. So he's driving. It's nighttime. Police, hit the lights, start following him. He then drives. He turns his flashers on, drives very slowly to a well-lit gas station. Apparently, it was about 2 miles down the road. Mm-hmm. Okay. He rolls his windows down. Police are like, "Show me your hands! Show me your hands! Show me your hands!" So he sticks his hands out the thing. They're like, "Get out of the car!" And he's like, "What's going on? Why are you doing this? Blah 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 blah." And the whole time, the guy's like, "You're about to ride the lightning, son." And yeah, literally says that. And so he keeps giving him contradictory orders, and so he's still buckled into his seat, right? But his hands are outside the window. And the guy's like, "Get out of the car! Get out of the car!" So he's like, "I'm not gonna get out of this car. You're scaring me." He's like, "I'm scared for my life." And the cop's like, "You should be." And so the cop then opens the door, and he's still buckled in. He's like, "Get out of the car." He's like, "I'm not putting my hands back there." He's just like, "These are my hands. I'm not gonna reach for my seatbelt because then you're going to shoot me." He's just very I know how this plays out. And so they finally get him out, and he's like, "Okay." They won't reach in there, so he's like, "Okay, I'm going to very slowly reach for the seatbelt," and his hands the whole time, and then finally gets out, and of course they cuff him and beat the shit out of him and stuff. So yeah, he's suing now, so it's pretty good. I
mean, the headline for this video is "Officer Fired for Pepper Spraying Lieutenant." Yeah.
Yeah, he did get fired. The guy is still suing. It's pretty bad, man. In all honesty.
It is, I'm glad he's going to sue the pants off of them. And I hope he wins a lot of money to punitively punish that police department.
Well, it's just, there's so many of these instances, and I watched a couple where it was some white kids, right? It was kids. I watched a couple of videos because I was on this big ACAB kick the other day. when I when I posted all that stuff, or when I put all that stuff in the thing. So I watched this cop beat the shit out of these, like, I'm talking like MMA style, like just pounding on this kid's face. It's like an 18-year-old kid and a grown man just beating the dog shit out of him. And here's what happened. So the kid, of course, he's like an entitled fucking white kid teenager, right? Already. So, like, I mean, I know the type, and I know that you want to pound this kid in the face. I get it, right? But you can't do that shit because you're a fucking police officer. So the kid, he's like, you can't do this. You can't pull me out like this. You can't even pull me out of my car. And the cop's like, yes, I can. I smell weed. So they cuff him, and he's like, why are you being so rough? And apparently he had like a huge gash on his finger or something. So when they're cuffing him, the kid turns around. He's like, whoa, time out. I'm injured. And so the cop, like, chokehold, slam, and then proceeds to, like, just fucking pound this kid. I mean, obviously he's being sued now, but with the kid, like, the whole time in the back seat, he's like, I can't wait. All that's on camera. And the cop's like, you hit me first. Bro, I saw the video. He didn't hit him first.
No.
Like, you are lying. Like, you are a liar. You just were upset and decided you were gonna, I'm telling you, like,
you were gonna just, like, take it out on this kid. I'm gonna whoop this kid. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know how the MMA, like, when they do the takedowns and they start fucking just pounding on the face, that's what this cop did. It was like, that's not subduing. That's not what that is. That's illegal. What you did was illegal. You can't fucking do that. You didn't have to do that. Like, but I mean, and of course that shit doesn't get as much airtime as the black kids getting murdered, but still, like, it my point is that police fucking suck. And it doesn't matter who you are, because I've had my run-ins with the police, and there are times where I'm like, if I were black, I'd be dead. Like, really. Like, I know for a fact that the way that my crazy-ass wife and I have talked to police in the past, that, yeah, I should be dead. My wife gets very, very snarky and mouthy.
Yeah. I mean, I was just thinking, did she have to handle, or did you handle the home run in that you had a month or 2 or 3 months ago, whenever that was?
So that was a few months ago, and basically here's what happened. It was our fault, but the kids were in the backyard playing, and they figured out how to get out of the gate. We didn't know. I'll be honest. It was a bad deal. We didn't know, and they ended up, like, almost down by the pond. So people saw the kids, little white babies, playing outside, and they called the police. Finally, I'd already gone and found them, and brought them back home, and they're in the bathtub and stuff. And then the police show up, and this dude, like, they're like, well, they were down there for 45 minutes. No, they weren't. That's a lie. And so, well, I'm sorry. So at first they were down there for 15 minutes, and then they were down there for a half an hour, and then they were down there for 45 minutes. Every time the cop said the story, like, it changed. And so, of course, my wife wasn't having it. And then, like, so we're talking to a lady cop, right? Mm-hmm. Well, then this big old corn-fed motherfucking cop pulls up, dude. And he kind of steps into the way, and he's like, well, let me hear what's going on. And I said, well, you can have her explain it to you, because we don't need to explain it again. He was like, no, I want to hear it from your side. I don't know what's going on. I just want to, I was like, we've already said, here's what happened. So fine. And so he was like, well, you can either tell me what's going on, or we can do this one of two ways. And he kind of steps, like, bows up at me. I was like, what are you going to do? Fucking whoop my ass? You're gonna start a fight here? Is that what you're gonna do at my house in front of my children? Because you're a big Billy fucking badass. He kind of steps back, like realizing, because of course I've got my camera, my door camera right there.
Right.
He kind of steps back a little bit, and because of course I was like, honey, get out of the way of the camera. So yeah, so they're like, well, we'll just file a report. I was like, great, leave, file a report. Do what you got to do. And of course, they filed a report, and CPS came out, and that was really embarrassing. And they were like, "Oh yeah, there's not a problem here. It's fine." And so when he came out, he wanted to see the latch that the kids had gotten out of.
The CPS guy, or
the CPS guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, sure. And so, me and the kids walk out there, and the kid walks right up, opens the door. I was like, there you go.
This is a new thing.
I was like, and if that cop had talked to me like a human, all of this could have been avoided. But he wanted to come up here and be an asshole. And so now you're here, and you had to waste your time coming out here. Hope you feel good. But yeah. And at the end of the day, I've had run-ins with police officers that they talk to me like a fucking normal person, and I appreciate that, right? Like one cop, I got pulled over because my reverse lights were stuck on, which is a weird deal. And so he pulls me over. He's like, "Hey, your reverse lights are on?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know how to fix it. I don't know what's going on."
I do know, but
he's like, "Well, what I would do if I were you," he's like, "really, you only need them when you're backing up. Just pull the lights out." I was like, "I can do that?" He's like, "Well, you won't pass inspection, and you got to get it fixed eventually." He's like, "Well, yeah, just pull the lights out, and we'll leave you alone." I was like, "Huh. All right." Done deal. Thanks, buddy.
You just walk around there and pop the trunk and yank the lights out.
Yeah, so I mean, I've had decent run-ins. I've also had I told you about the story where I was driving that old Ford 500 with no tags,
no tags, no plates, nothing.
The lady was like, "Well, you don't look like you stole this." I didn't even get a ticket. I didn't even get a warning.
Nothing.
Nothing.
You're just
nothing. She's like, "Get on home."
You're probably all right.
Yeah.
I think one of the funniest things that happened to me, I was in college, and I was studying at a friend's house across the causeway in Galveston, because he bought a trailer and was living in the trailer off campus, little mobile home, I shouldn't say, yeah. And so we were studying in there, and then I was driving back, and we were talking about beer, and I think he was like, "Oh man, you got a Foster's," and I was like, "Okay, whatever." So I pull into the gas station on the way home, and I grab the can, and I pay for it, and then I go, because my car desperately needed a car wash, so I pull into the car wash. Well, in the car wash, it was taking forever, so I killed the lights, turned the car off and everything, and just kind of rolled through. And when I get back on the road, I turn the car back on and pull out to I think it was 53rd or 61st, whatever street it was, to go home. And immediately, as soon as I pull out of the gas station, the lights on the cop car coming down the street opposite me turn on. And so I just pull right back into the gas station and wait for him, because he's coming around, right? Yeah. And I'm like, I look down and I see I never turned the headlights back on. And I was like, yeah. This is it. This is how you got me. So he comes up and he's like, "How's it going tonight, sir?" And I was like, "Well, I had my backpack that was full of textbooks in the seat next to me." And I was like, "Well, I was studying at a friend's house, and it's late, and I was headed home, And he's like, "What's that in the cup holster right there?" And I was like, "An unopened beer. Ta-da!" He takes one look at it and just like, "All right, get out of here." I'm like, "Yes."
All right.
told my friend about that. He's like, I'd have gone in jail because that thing would have been open.
Right.
I was like,
You've
well,
been sitting there, sitting in
the car wash, drinking your beer.
in the car wash, drinking the beer. Yeah.
I was like,
You're
I thought about it.
jail.
I thought about it,
Oh,
but I
did tell you about the
decided it
time we
was
were
a
in West-
bad idea. What?
We were in West Virginia so when I was doing the sales stuff. So we're in West Virginia, and this is when, I was doing the travel and sales thing. And so we stopped at a gas station, and my buddy buys a pack of cigarettes, opens the cigarettes, throws the cellophane on the ground. 4 cop cars scream up.
Just like out of nowhere, like it was like a cartoon.
What the fuck is going on, right? So the guy gets out and he's like, "Excuse me, sir." But he's like, "Yeah, what? You just littered." I'm sorry.
I will pick it up right away.
He goes, "You boys from around here?" We're like, "No, sir. We're from Dallas, Texas." And he's like, "That y'all just litter in Dallas?" Yeah. The cops there have things to do. Sorry. But yeah, that was insane. 4 for a piece of cellophane there on the ground.
Oh my god!
Pick up the cellophane.
Pick it up, dude. Oh my god!
Quit littering. We're gonna get killed. Actually, that was before we knew anything about all the cops killing everybody.
It still happened. It just was maybe not in the news.
You know what I'm saying? We didn't know about it.
Yeah, it wasn't.
No, not everybody had a phone.
Front page
everywhere.
news all the time, 24/7, 365. That's what I mean. Like, I don't know. I guess that was kind of what the point for the Austin thing was. It's like, crazy things happen in major cities all the time. And it's like, I think in like the town north of here, there were like 2 murders last year, and like the little bitty town north of here, and I say little bitty town, it's like, I don't know, 30,000 people. There were 2. It's just it's a different kind of scale, and like people still talk about it. Like, oh really? Man, Jim Bob, man, that was terrible. Like, there was like a guy I used to work with who got this was the weirdest thing. So there was this guy I worked with who got caught by one of those the pedo traps, online pedo trap that the cops do, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he apparently had driven from here to like Laredo or some, like right on the border. And it was weird because like I used to work with him like on a daily basis. And I remember thinking like, man, this guy's a weirdo. Like I went out and had a beer with him one time, and this was several years back. But yeah, like hearing him talk while he was inebriated, he was a weirdo. And I was just like, yeah, we're not gonna hang out again. Like, all right,
Did you get that pedo vibe from him?
It wasn't that. I couldn't put my finger on it. No, not like that. But it was just like, there's something not right with this dude. He's kind of weird, kind of creepy.
The guy I went to high school with that got stung like that.
Yeah, I don't feel bad for him at all. Good riddance, honestly. Like, the funniest thing though, this is the part that cracked me up. So like, it wasn't in the local paper. You had to like pull up the Laredo paper to like, and there's his mug shot and everything. And And apparently he had tried to convince the police, like, no, I drove 12 hours to like do a welfare check and just make sure this person was okay, this girl was okay, this 14-year-old girl that I came with beer to go hang out with, just make sure she was okay. And cops were like, you're going to jail. Prison.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh.
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know how you still get caught doing that shit. Like, it's 2021. But there are still people that get busted doing that shit. Like, what the fuck are y'all doing?
That's so dumb.
So let's go back to, because I actually don't hate the cops when they do shit like that. Because you gotta take down these pedos somehow.
Yeah.
And,
like there's bad people out there, and that's what I say. Like this is kind of the point, right? And my point, I guess, is that like, defund the police was a terrible idea. To use that as your
terrible
mantra
slogan, yes,
it's a
100%.
stupid slogan. It was never going to get people on board, right?
Nope.
And you know, if it was, I don't know what they could have made it that would have been as impactful, because, you know, run around chanting reform the police doesn't quite have that same strong ring, you know. So I get it, right? I don't know what it should have been, but not that, right?
Yeah.
1 second.
No problem.
I think he just pooped all over the couch or something. I don't know.
That's
I'm not gonna look
exciting.
and find out. So that was dumb, right? And the idea that we could abolish the police, which was something that also was said, was also not a feasible solution. The fact of the matter is that there's 400 million weapons in this country, right? Firearms. Most of them are privately owned, right? That's like discounting the military even, right? That's just 400 million privately owned weapons in this country. And, you know, the police do need to have a tactical response for when people lose their minds. That, like, I don't think you can get away from that. You know, and like you said, it's all about training, you know. I think it was, I don't remember where I heard it from, but like it was an FBI shootout back when they were using revolvers, right? And the cops, the FBI agents, just got gunned down in the street, right? And when they were doing their investigation, they found these shells lined up very neatly on the ground where the FBI agents were reloading their weapon, pulling out their shells, and setting them, stacking them in lines. And they realized, like, oh, we're training our officers to line up their shells on the shooting range, and then when they're under fire, here they are lining up their shells, because this is what we taught them how to do, right? And so I think you're 100% right. It goes back to training. The fact that the police academy is like a year long, maybe, if that. Some of them are like 6 months, and then they go to like field training, right? They run around with an FTO for maybe a year on their probationary period, and then they're basically it. That's it. That's their training, right? And we put police
so they don't
officers.
go back to more training.
I mean, they have to
They don't do
qualify.
more training after that.
I don't know.
That's really.
I'm
it.
assuming
They
it's
don't
like
do,
school, like where you have to have so many hours of continuing education, right? To become a detective, they have to have like some kind of degree, usually in like criminal justice or, you know, some kind of philosophy or law degree that they usually have to advance up to like detective or something else, right? But to just be a patrol
Detectives
officer,
aren't the ones out here murdering motherfuckers in the
yeah,
streets.
no, they're not. The patrol officers is very little training. There's very little education that they require a patrol officer to have, right? You know, police officers look for like ex-military training, because then it's less firearms training that they have to do with these people, because they're like, oh, well, you already know how to shoot a gun or whatever else, and You know, but the people who are ex-military are much less likely to pull a gun and shoot somebody on the street.
Right.
You know, you don't hear about police officer who's an corporal or whatever pulling a gun and blowing somebody away.
Right, because there are significant, worldwide.
Their stress tolerance is very different.
The consequences are much different and much harsher if you spend a bullet on something that you shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Sometimes
it's
you
not
have
only
to
that,
ask
like
for
in the
permission
military,
to
like
return fire.
Yeah. Yes, it depends, right? And so, like, there's you hear stories about there's plenty of people who've given interviews online. There's a guy who did interviews on VR headsets, and he's talking to this I think he was talking to an AC-130 gunner, right? And
sure.
So the AC-130 is the big planes with the anyone who's played Call of Duty will know what I'm talking about. But they're the big planes that have the cannons that they've got different sized, all the different sized cannons on this aircraft, and they literally just night vision, thermographic vision, shooting the cannon, wipe it. So you'll see those videos if you look up Taliban caravan busted or something like that. It's probably an AC-130 that's just flying around overhead, just picking up targets, right? That's what they do. They just ground support, right? And it's specifically close ground support. So your soldiers can be within 20, 30 yards of whatever they're shooting at. It's super close range, close ground support. So, you hear stories about this Army military, U.S. Army caravan that had come under fire, come down this valley, and then the guys were boxed in on either side of it, and they're taking a lot of fire from this one building, and it had to go up the chain of command, and then it came back down, and then when they finally did get the permission to fire, the building that they were taking fire from, that they fired in, emptied out of all these civilians that were just there, right? So the crazy thing in the world, when you talk about military action, is bad guys can hide out with civilians, and they do it all the time. And that sucks, because then what do, right? Do you let your guys die, or do you shoot that building?
Yeah, it's a tough choice, and I'm glad I never have to make that choice.
Yeah.
Or we don't have to be the world police.
Or we don't have to be the world police. I'm all about that.
We have 800 fucking military bases.
Yeah.
All over the world.
Did you see, speaking of world police, is it coincidental that when Trump announced the withdrawal from Afghanistan, the bounty thing came out, and now that's all fake?
It was fake then, though.
It was, but it was being shouted from the rooftops by American news agencies like it was real.
Yeah, I knew it was fake the second it came out.
Yeah, this guy right here, I put the story there at the end.
It's weird how that story kept being perpetuated, but from lefty news, from lefty online people, I knew that story was fake as shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No, this didn't happen. But then your mainstream stories were just running it nonstop.
That's crazy.
And now Ukraine is massing, or Russia is massing troops on the Ukrainian border.
I heard that also.
Yeah. Because Ukrainian President Zelensky, I think it's Zelensky, is wanting to join NATO. And Russia's no.
Right,
So,
which is fucked up, just in general. I don't know why we capitulate to this motherfucker. What are they gonna do? Tell us no?
to Russia?
Yeah, fuck them. They're gonna start a war. You'd be stupid. They want to start a war? No.
I think it would be really bad. Because I don't think Russia would come alone. Think of this. Like, here's your worst case scenario. Russia and China wind up on the same side.
Yeah.
In an event of a Ukrainian invasion.
I think Russia and China end up on the same side anyway. But I do think that Putin doesn't really like Russia all that much. Or China.
I was like, Putin?
No.
Putin seems to love Russia.
Yeah, Putin is. Yeah. No, he doesn't like China that much.
No.
So a lot of his stuff is to protect from China. And that's where your boy Trump and Putin got along was trying to end the Chinese imperial takeover.
Oh yeah. Did you see the thing on their new Silk Road?
I haven't looked into it.
Well, we'll talk about it next time because there's a lot going on there. With the new Silk Road that they're basically building infrastructure in all these countries to basically yeah, so they're going to be building high-speed rail, freight lines, roadways through all of their neighboring countries, basically from the Kashmir through Myanmar, through Burma, Thailand, the Koreas, Vietnams, all those countries are going to get like heavily invested in by all the big money from China to build up their infrastructure so that China can basically take over the trade on that entire section of the globe. So
yeah.
But I think they're also doing it without stipulations.
I think I heard that they're building all that stuff without saying you have to do all of these things, like what the IMF does.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's how you get people to go against the IMF.
So from what I understand, they're basically just doing it, and they're going to open up trade deals, but they're not stipulating on with the country. You have to do these things, and so that's why they're taking those deals with China instead of making deals with America, because America and IMF, they say you have to do all of these things in order to get this money, and so they're like, oh, well, China's gonna hook us up without all that shit, so how about fuck you?
It's the Belts and Road Initiative. Here it is. There you go.
Yeah. Smart.
That's pretty crazy.
Smart.
Oh yeah. Straight up the Nile.
I mean, y'all can get mad at China all you want, but we've been playing this game a long time, and then now you're getting beat in your own game. You're gonna get mad about it? We're gonna go to war? Is that what you're gonna do, little pussy? You big mad?
Have you heard about the? I forget what it's called. Basically the theory that when a dying economic power and a rising economic power come up against each other, inevitably it leads to war.
That.
Yeah, I forget what it's called though. Dying economy versus rising. It's something like Lockyer's Trap or something like that. Old economy versus new economy, maybe? I don't know, but that's the there's like a specific saying about it, and it's historic. Damn it, I can't find the right term, but basically throughout history, whenever you've had like it happened with, say, like the Roman Empire, the old caliphates, the Mongolian Empire, a lot of those kind of fell apart from the death of their leaders, like the Alexandrian Empire and everything else. But like there was always this bloody conflict that occurred during those power transition times. And so, man, it's gonna bug me now that I can't remember. It started with an L. I don't know. But anyway, that's apparently a thing.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Like, because obviously we're getting mad because they're taking away work, or taking away our abilities to run shit.
Yeah. It's something's trap. Either way, yeah, no, but it's a thing, and so I'm concerned. Because I mean, in today's world, nobody really goes untouched in a full-scale war.
I don't know, man. It's funny because I've been being a part of the online left for like, I don't know, 6 months now, where I was like, where I've actually paid attention and like moved further left, kind of incrementally. And there are a lot of things that drive me crazy about it because there's a lot of infighting and shit like that. But one of the biggest arguments that I've seen is like, people want to be revolutionaries. The days of like rising up and taking over your government are over. Like you're gonna have to do it through electoral politics. You're gonna have to build a coalition. Like like I said, starting it from the ground, doing worker co-ops, that kind of thing, where that becomes the norm and people choose that, because anytime you take away people's freedom, then that's inherently wrong, right? Would you agree with that? Taking away someone's freedom to choose is antithetical to from what I've read, actual Marxism, where Marx believed in democracy, and it was having democracy in the workplace is not it's adding to the democratic repertoire, I guess. So I don't know. It's just like the what's going on with China. I think it would be ridiculous to have a full-scale war over you not being able to control your different countries and having your fingers in everything, your shit in everybody else's pie. So I don't know. Like, it just seems quite ridiculous, is my opinion. Because you're right, if it goes to full-scale war, then we're all in trouble.
Yeah.
But I don't think it should have to go that far, is my point, I guess.
Well,
like, sometimes you just got to take your fucking lumps.
India is way more wary of China than we are. And so it's like, take TikTok for prime example, right? Over here, you had they attempted to force the sale of TikTok to an American company. India bound it outright. They just said, no, you can't have this in our country. we'll do something else. There's been several other instances of them just saying like, nope, no Chinese product in this area. So that's that. I'm looking at the Belt and Road thing. I was kind of glancing at it while you were talking, and here it's talking about government officials in India have repeatedly objected to the Belt and Road Initiative, specifically because they believe the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor project ignores New Delhi's essential concerns on sovereignty and territorial integrity. One of the other things I can't necessarily find is a statement. Again, I'm just looking at the Wikipedia, so this is not foundationally like the real deal.
Wikipedia is a good source. I mean, people hate on Wikipedia. It's a good source.
It's okay sometimes. I mean, the founder of Wikipedia the other day was giving an article about how much crap it was now, but
for the most part, though, like, yeah, like little, like, there are people that go in and change stupid shit, but for the most part, like, if you go to an article, you can look at the sources that people post, and you can kind of glean the information yourself. You know what I mean?
From the references, most of the time.
Yeah, from the references.
Yeah. Like I said, I think we'll come back to the Belt and Road Initiative once I've been able to read up a little bit more about it. So, in that regard, what is this one? Click on one of these links you threw up in here. Oh. Yeah. Just the different Twitter sphere things.
I'm telling you, I went down a fucking I went down a rabbit hole. Yeah, and I just got fired up, like
more and more fired up the more you looked at it.
Yeah.
I understand. The I don't know. There was an interview. I think it was between Jocko and it might have been on the Jocko podcast, but I don't remember if it was on the Jocko podcast or if he was talking to Joe Rogan about it. One of the many times he's been on that show. But it's definitely talks about like training as far as like getting back to the cops, and with what he was proposing as like, hey, it's going to do this and it would take this much money and they really need to train like, well, he basically draws the difference between, because he was Navy SEAL Special Forces and like police officers, and so he's drawing the parallels between like how much they train to be the best, and they're operating overseas in a much different atmosphere, but basically how there's more responsibility for the cops over here just in daily interactions with people. And he goes into like de-escalation tactics that they would implement and other things like that. And so if you get someone like him to say, okay, here's our plan, here's how we're going to implement it, let's go do it. And I think I remember it coming out where they were talking when that defund the police thing had first hit the really the mainstream. The general rebuttal from him is like, look, if it's misappropriation, that's one thing, but I mean, you can't provide the training necessary while also trying to take away funding from these people. And again, I point at the results of what's happened in Minneapolis at that.
But that training is what has to happen, is the training to de-escalate
Yeah.
instead of the training to fucking murder.
Yeah.
Like, I guess that's my biggest point is like, they're training right now when the heat is on, they fall back onto pulling the fucking trigger.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Instead of trying to de-escalate, because like I said earlier, the detectives aren't the ones out there fucking, killing motherfuckers. They're not murdering ad nauseum or with impunity. Like,
I mean, for the most part, the detectives are either sending a patrol officer to go pick somebody up, or going in with a SWAT team in force to do some sort of raid that they've staked out for like weeks. Like, the interactions are totally different, right?
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily know if that's a fair comparison, but I definitely understand what you're saying. I think to even make detective or to be qualified for detective, you have to have like 5 years on patrol or something like that. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah. Well, and when you study criminal justice, I mean, I think you have to take some like a significant amount of sociology classes for criminal justice, and in the sociology classes, you kind of learn how to navigate through society and navigate through, I guess, some of these issues that a lot of the police are having. I just feel like these police officers could use a lot of that type of thing, like the criminal justice, the criminology, the way that these things work, because I think that would save a lot of lives. It should be required, but then you'd have to pay them more. Right? And so, it's just like wanting the best teachers and wanting, people that put in the work, and the people that, have the extra education. And a lot of teachers do just because they want to get better at their jobs, right? Mm-hmm. But to get the best, you have to pay for the best. You know what I mean? Like, nobody gets into teaching, nobody gets into education for the money, just like policing. Nobody gets into policing for the money. The money is shit. To get shot at for $60,000 a year? Are you shitting me? And 60 is Dallas money. Like, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Right?
That's about what Houston money is too, I think. No, Houston's less.
They're not making that in smaller towns.
Mm-hmm.
But $60K in DFW ain't shit. That's getting by. Like, I hate to say it, but it's getting by. I mean, you're not in the poorhouse, but you're not living large. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that's, when police officers talk about overtime budgets, right? Like, that's where a lot of them live off their overtime. And then you have cities like Dallas that pay for their overtime budget in civil asset forfeitures.
Yeah.
Which is a whole other ball of wax I don't even want to talk about right now.
I think there's a couple other cities in the DFW area that do that too.
Oh, yeah.
There's a city...
There are a lot of major cities that pay their overtime budget with civil asset forfeitures.
Well, and I've heard that the amount of intake from traffic tickets in the city of Garland is equal to $1,000 per citizen, just from traffic tickets that they take in every year. Yeah, get you some. $1,000 per citizen. Like, if you know anything about the Garland area, you don't fucking speed.
It's kind of like going through Palmer.
For future reference, for those of you that ever travel through Garland, Texas, or the surrounding like Saxe and Rowlett in that area, don't fucking speed. They don't play. You will get a ticket. They are assholes. 1 mile per hour over, they will get you.
There's a lot of places like that.
Really?
The troopers are driving around in their brand new cars. They're going to write you a ticket. I mean, that's just Every year they get a whole new fleet of patrol cars.
I don't really get pulled over anymore. I guess it's probably because I'm old.
You're old and we drive slow now.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't really happen. Like, yeah, I don't really drive.
Oh.
How fast do you?
Oh, okay.
I gotta be pushing it.
Yeah.
But I guess it all boils down to like you said, it's training, and like I said, it's training, and you have to train these people to not shoot first. And I'm just gonna bring it back to sports because that's what I know, right? And when you're training kids, right, or you're training athletes, you have keys that you read. When they do this, you do this. When they do this, you do this. When you see this, you do this, right? And so you rep it over and over and over and over, and you don't stop. You just keep repping that thing. And so when the lights are on, the band's playing, in the actual game, and somebody says HUD, when they go right, you know exactly what to do because you've repped it over and over and over, right? Mm-hmm. So in the situations where you see someone turn around real fast, if you've repped shooting your gun over and over and over, that's what you're going to do because that's what you've been trained to do.
It's not just that. I mean, if somebody turns around real fast, yes. But if somebody turns around real fast who has already shown you they have a weapon, yeah, you're going to fall back on that training.
Hand was up. It wasn't like this. It's here.
Nope.
And so, like I said, if you actually thought it was a threat, you would have mag dumped.
So yeah. I was gonna say you're basing on one shot versus 17 or whatever.
Yeah. Because that's the training. That's the training. If it's an actual threat, you shoot to kill. You're not shooting to maim. You're not shooting to fucking to hit the knee, right? Center mass, empty your clip. Dunzo.
Mm-hmm.
So when the guy takes one shot and he's like, oh shit, he knew he shouldn't have shot that shot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, any gun advocate will tell you you're responsible for what comes out of the end of that weapon, no matter what.
Yeah, 100%.
No matter what. And so, like the lady, most of the gun advocates that I'll follow or whatever, like on the socials, lock her up. She's responsible for it. She fired a weapon. It was gross negligent at best.
At best.
At best. It was gross negligence.
Because how the fuck you don't know it's a taser?
Right?
Taser weighs like half an ounce. Guns have weight, like significant weight.
Yeah, it's not a half an ounce, but it's definitely less than the firearm.
I mean, even the lightest Glock still has weight because your bullets have weight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
even the most, like, the polycarbonate, whatever. But the other thing is here's... You ever looked at a police officer's belt? The gun and the taser are not on the same side. Why?
Right, different sides.
So you know which one you're pulling.
So you don't make that mistake. Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. Absolutely. Agreed.
And like they're talking like, oh, she had 25 years on the job, and she probably never pulled any of her guns.
Either one.
Ever.
25 years on the job. Jesus.
Yeah.
Why is she still a patrol person? Yeah, I'm with that.
I'm not
I
gonna
don't
say
know
anything.
though. I'm pretty happy. Like I mean, I've moved up, like through the course of my years in service here, but like I don't. One, just to change the subject a little bit. One, I don't think I ever want to be a head coach. Again, because that's a lot of headache. I mean, I'm talking about a lot of headache. Like the amount of meetings and bullshit that you have to do. I don't think I want it. Right? Offensive coordinator, game. I'm in. I get to call my own offense and do what I want. Yeah, that's for me. But without all of this extra horseshit. So, like, when you're a head coach, not only are you responsible for your entire team, so for, all 4 teams plus the middle schools, so that's probably like 500 kids, give or take, at least in the big schools, right? So at a minimum of 500 kids, because you got your middle schools, your feeder schools, plus, the high schools, and the high schools usually about 200 kids, 250 kids, give or take, right? So you're responsible for all of those kids. Then you add in all the coaches. So you've got at least, if you're a head football coach in the state of Texas, you have at least 14 to 28 coaches.
That's a lot.
That you're responsible for. So anytime they do anything stupid, now you get the phone call, you get the meeting, you have to, like, check in, right? It's a lot. And so, like, having just done it at the middle school level where I had 6 coaches underneath me, I don't think I want that. Because then on top of that, you have to win, right? On top of all of that, you have to win. And if you don't win, then you get like, the townsfolk in your ear, the media in your ear, right? You get, like, there's a lot. So my point in all of this is, like, I understand not wanting to maybe go higher up, maybe. Like, honestly, and then to add to that, if this, like, let's say in 2 to 5 years this show blows up, which who's to say it won't? But let's just say it does.
The show?
Okay? This show.
Oh,
the thing
right.
we're doing
The
right
show.
now.
Yeah. This one right here.
I don't know that I'll be ready to hang up the whistle then. Like, I love what I do. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I do it because I love it. Like I've said, I'm not doing it for the money. That's for goddamn sure.
Yeah. I might spend some time studying and actually finish my PE, and then go be a big time paid consultant just on top of this. That might be what I'd do. I like the problem solving.
Yeah, that's cool. It's right up your alley. So let's solve this problem. How do we fix the police?
I mean, if I was in charge of one police department, we'll just say Minneapolis, because that's where all the craziness is going on.
Right.
Well, I mean, the first thing I would do is bring in some actual professionals and determine a specific training plan. The academy would probably be lengthened by an appropriate amount to accommodate that training plan. All of my officers would have to requalify over a period of time.
What would be your requalified qualifications?
Well, it would probably just be the added classes of whatever, we determined de-escalation, hand-to-hand combat. The other thing that I think would have to change is some legislation. I think it's ridiculous, again, that there is less investigation for like a murder or a police shooting than there is a physical altercation not resulting in death, right? So if the police wrestle somebody down and an arm breaks, again, I've already said this, there's more paperwork for that than there is for the other one, as far as what the individual officer has to do. I think using the Texas model of the Texas Rangers to investigate, I know we spoke about this previously, but something that is absolutely separated from the agency. All internal affairs agencies would become standalone agencies and not affiliated with the police department at all.
100%.
And regardless of whether or not that becomes something akin to the Texas Rangers here in the state of Texas, or the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, because I think they kind of do the same thing that Texas does, where the GBI handles police shootings. It would 100% be separate entities that would investigate all of those, with no affiliations, political or otherwise, to the bodies that they are investigating. As far as the training goes, so take this for example, right? Like I work at a chemical plant. It's dangerous. To be an operator, you at least have to have a 2-year degree, right? So your job is to go out there and turn valves that someone else told you to do. You still have to have a 2-year degree for that. And whether it's in process technology and to go out and understand different pressures and flows, and a lot of guys will do that. Like there's a training program at the college that'll give you that 2-year degree to go be an operator. But you can do it with any degree. And what that is that we can teach you the necessary skills to not blow this place up, right? This job, while dangerous,
you can think.
Right. You need to be able to think and understand, and I've worked with operators that have been out there for 20 years or longer, and they tell me something, and I look at them and I'm like, no, that's not possible. What you're saying defies the laws of physics. What you're like, that's not possible. But I know you know how to run this plant, and I know you know how to start it up. Your troubleshooting could use some work, but your job is to run this plant, and so you do a very good job at that. So I don't think that's the same thing. Like again, to become a patrol officer, you don't need any of that.
Well, it depends on the precinct. Like it's not mandated. In
that's true.
For
it's
Dallas PD, you do have to have 30 hours of college credits.
Oh, okay. Well, there's something.
That's I do know that you have to have at least 30 hours, which is 2 years essentially. Well,
so basically, they don't want any dum dums,
Right.
And I think that's important. At one point, when I was highly unemployed, I was very, very unemployed. I was very unemployed, and I was looking for work. I put an application in Houston, but I was a little too honest on the resume about all the craziness I did back in college, so they didn't want me. Yeah. So, but at the same time, like the qualifications weren't anything crazy. And the SAT scores that I handed in and ACT scores, they were like, you might get bored doing this job. You think you'd be okay with doing it? Like why do you think I would get bored doing this job? Well, it's a lot of sitting around, a lot of paperwork. Most of the people who come in who score this high on their test scores don't stick around very long. And I was like, interesting.
I know that's good.
Yeah. I just thought that was an interesting conversation that I had. And I don't think that's necessarily the right way to approach things. Yeah. But
so I want to jump back into the Texas Ranger bit. I actually have to go soon. I have a meeting at 6, so
Okay.
I don't have a whole lot of time. It's an online meeting, so I just have to click over, but still, I have to do it.
You have to be present.
But there was a police shooting. I don't know, down south. I don't know if it was Austin area or somewhere. It wasn't up here. Anyway, when I was looking at it, I was looking at what happened, and then I saw immediately that the Texas Rangers are investigating. And so, of course, I started looking into that. And the Texas Rangers also investigated the student that was my student that was shot. They came up, took over the investigation, and then the prosecution went through Dallas County. The reason I think that it has to be the way to go is because it takes that blue wall that cops like to hide behind. It takes it out of the equation. You can't hide. And of course I started looking into the Texas Rangers as a whole, and what do they even fucking do? I don't even know, right? So I started looking into it, and so that's kind of what they do. They look into corrupt public figures. That's part of their job. It's the main part of their job. They do other things too, like help with borders and stuff like that, but that's the main part. And then of course I noticed that they have a racist history, like every other police force in fall. Hello. Befall.
He got stuck.
So he, anyway, so they have a racist history that back in the 1918, early 1900s, when they were really trying to get rid of the Mexicans. Not to sound awful, but was part of the. That was part of the
Teddy Roosevelt days, Mexican-American War.
Actually, yeah. Well, not really. No, it was in the 1900s, right during the Dust Bowl type shit.
Oh, okay.
When they wanted white people to have the jobs and not the Mexicans to have the jobs. So they did some awful things. They did a massacre of some Mexican immigrants, and they have a sordid history. Anyway, and so people don't want to get rid of the organization per se because they do good things now, but they want them to change their name. It's not a big thing. It's maybe one or two people, but I just thought that was.
There's 3 people out there that are like, no, we don't like the Texas Rangers, and all the rest of the Texans are like, no, it's fine.
You're never going to get the Texas Rangers to change their name ever in the history of ever. That's never going to happen. People from Texas are already quite ridiculous about everything Texas anyway, just in general. So, yeah, they're never going to change their name.
Well, I mean, the old saying was in an old town, it was one riot, one ranger, and that was all it took. Because he'd go in there and shoot everyone.
Yeah. So, anyway, but my point is that when I was looking into that, they do good work. And almost every time that I've seen it in this state, this is kind of feels like the one thing that we do right is they don't fuck around. They investigate it as they should. And if a cop is guilty, they're fucking guilty. There's no hiding.
Yeah,
and that's what I've seen. So I think that probably could help a lot because while it happens here, it doesn't happen that often. You know what I mean? Because they know that they're not fucking around.
Yeah, there's no hiding. The Rangers are going to get them. Yeah. That needs to happen, you know.
I think it needs to happen like nationwide.
I agree. Building, and that's the biggest thing. You know, I mentioned Minneapolis, but like building public confidence that there will be justice, right? And it's, you know, it's one of the fascinating things about this country is like you get to have your day in court here, right? Like the Constitution guarantees you that you get the privilege of going to court,
right,
to tell that cop he screwed up on the side of the road or whatever, right?
But the people that the cops are killing are not getting their fucking day in court.
Right. Exactly. That's the problem. That's the problem.
That's the issue.
So
they're judge, jury, executioner. They're on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get a chance, because like I said, I got to wrap this up in about 2 minutes. But when you get a chance, man, go watch that Karan Nazario video.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that military lieutenant did everything he was supposed to do to not die. And it's bananas to even think about it. I got to tell you this one last story before we click off here, because my wife told me this story last night when we were talking about it. So when she was, I don't know, 23, 24, and I don't know, it was before we were together.
Mm-hmm.
She was living in Louisville, and Louisville, she lived right across the street, apparently, from the police chief in Louisville. So she was like BFFs with this dude. Anyway, so she gets pulled over, and she pulls into the school parking lot. And she's like looking around for where to park, you know, and it's not very well lit, so she can't see very well. She doesn't see very well at night anyway, but that's clearly not the point. So the cop hits the high beams, you know how they do. Boom, right? So she slams the car in the park and gets out with her little Karen ass. And it says, "Can you turn the fucking lights off? I can't fucking see." He's like, "Ma'am, I have to do this for my safety." She's like, "Your safety? What the fuck am I gonna do, you fucking idiot?" So all 5, 6 of me? You're scared? You fucking scared? Turn the goddamn lights off.
He's wildcatting. That's all.
She's like, "I should be dead." You just got out all Karen and all over the place. She's like, yeah, I did. Yeah, just straight Karen action.
I can't see.
I wanted to leave it with that.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. But yeah, you can see her doing that too. You can see her just getting out. She was like, "I was screaming at the top of my lungs at this cop," and of course, nothing happened to her. I don't even know what she got pulled over for. I don't even know if she remembers.
She didn't even get like a warning or anything. Like
nothing. She motherfucked this cop up one side and down the other. Fucking white.
Oh.
Anyway.
All right, man.
Anyway. All right. Sorry, I gotta cut it short.
Bye.
We're lucky we got an episode off this week anyway. All right.
Yeah.
All right, bud.
Thank you for watching this episode of BroPartisan Hacks with Reese and Rob. We really, really appreciate you watching, tuning in. If you like this video, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to us. We're putting out content as often as we can. Share it with your friends. Get it out there. Get our names out there. Also, hit that bell, tap that bell right there so that you can get updated when we put out a new video. Rob and I are trying to pump these videos out as often as we can. However, we both have day jobs, we have families, so our schedules have to line up so that we can make a new video. Speaking of our day jobs, our opinions and views expressed are our own and in no way represent those of our respective employers. Thank you. Thanks again for watching.